So today's lesson will be, it's Science Grade 7, Health Education, Sexuality, and Sexual Health. All right, let's turn to page 23, where we'll be looking at our basic competencies. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to discuss and compare methods of maintaining sexual health. And you should be able to identify risky sexual practices. And you should also be able to describe the impact of risky sexual practices on the individual, family, community, and society. Now, the vocabulary, these are the words that you have to, the new words that you have to learn. Risky, the word risky means involving the possibility of something bad happening. Impact, the influence that one thing has on something else. To maintain means to keep something. Now let's look at the methods of maintaining sexual health. As you can see on the chalkboard, we have different pictures on different methods of maintaining sexual health. The first one is abstinence. To abstain basically meaning to say no to sex. To all the sexual activities, you should totally abstain, you should totally say no. And then we move to the next one, is faithfulness. You must be faithful to one trustable partner. In this method of maintaining sexual health, if one or both of the partners are not faithful to each other, and then they have sexual intercourse with somebody else, which is, for example, unprotected sex, then they can contract an STD or STI, which is sexually transmitted infections, and then they can pass it on to their partner. So this faithfulness is mostly suitable for married couples. And then we move to condom use. So we have different types of condoms. You can find the condoms at the clinics or hospitals. And then we have two types of condoms for male condoms, and the female condoms, which are called the femidoms. So you can still make use of the condoms. The condoms act as a barrier between the two partners. Just the same way as the doctors are putting on gloves to protect themselves and their patients from getting germs, it works the same way. So the condoms traps sperms so that they do not go to the next person. The sperms do not enter the woman, so she will not be able to contract any infections, and then she will not be able to fall pregnant. Among these three methods of maintaining sexual health, abstinence is the best and the most effective method. And you should actually abstain. All right? Now, let's quickly turn to page 24. Whereby we'll be looking at the risky sexual practices. What are risky sexual practices? These are actions that put you in danger and that have a negative impact on your sexual health. What are these risky sexual practices? Sex without a condom, multiple sexual partners. When you have more than one sexual partner, for a boy maybe you have three girlfriends, or for a girl you have maybe two boyfriends, for instance, and you are having sexual intercourse with all of them. Those are multiple sexual partners. Sugar daddies and sugar mommies. Let's look at the sugar daddies. What are sugar daddies? Sugar daddies are older men, much older men, that usually engage into sexual relationships with much younger girls. They give them money and they give them gifts, and they have sexual intercourse with them. Sugar mummies are older, much older ladies that have sexual intercourse or sexual relationship with much younger boys. And they give them gifts, they give them money and all sorts kind of things. Sometimes they even give them a lift to school in their cars. And then we look at the sex workers. Sex workers, these are people that sell sex for money. They go at the lights, for example, the robots there, and then they find men, they get into their cars according to what they have agreed on, and then they get into men's cars, Oh, yeah. And then when they go to their place, have sexual intercourse with them, and then they get paid for having sexual intercourse with different kind of men. And those activities are very risky because now you're having sex with this person, having sex with another person. Imagine you having sexual intercourse with 5 different kind of people. It will be so difficult to tell each one to put on a condom. Okay, you come to this one, put on a condom, at the end of the day, you are like, I'm getting used to this one now, and then it's not always easy to convince now each and every person to use a condom. At the end of the day, you might just end up having unprotected sexual intercourse, and then that's really, really risky. Let's move on to the impacts. These are physical and emotional impacts of risky sexual practices on the individual, on the family, community, and society. When you engage in these risky sexual practices, it doesn't only affect you, it affects your family, it affects the community, and just the society at large. Your neighbors. What are the physical impacts? Death. You can die. When you contract diseases like HIV, you might die. And then it also leads to spreading of diseases. You pass the disease to this person and then to the next person, just like that. It also leads to unwanted pregnancies. And the other impact as well are looking after a baby of a sick person. Now, you are sick, your parents or your neighbors or just your family members have to look after that baby because you are sick. Or when you have died, now people have to look after your children or your baby when you have died. It can be the community, yes, or your family members. Now, what are the emotional impacts? This is the hurt of feelings. When you are, for example, when you are sick, it affects people. People are hurt. Everybody's thinking about it, and it affects them really badly. Okay? So now that's our lesson on different kinds of methods of maintaining sexual health, risky sexual practices, and the physical and emotional impacts. Okay? So you should be able to do this activity on page 25. Quickly go to page 25 so that we can look at this activity. A, discuss and compare methods of maintaining sexual health. Discuss and compare methods of maintaining sexual health. Those are 3 methods that I want you to answer there. And B, identify risky sexual practices. C, describe the impact, be it physical and emotional altogether. These are the impact of risky sexual practices on the individual, on the family, community, and society. Okay, let's quickly recap on our lesson for today, which is sexual health, and then we looked at the methods of maintaining sexual health, which is abstinence, faithfulness, and condom use. And the risky sexual practices are sex without a condom, multiple sexual partners, sugar daddies and sugar mummies, sex workers. The impacts, or be it physical or emotional, of the risky sexual practices on the family, individual, community, and society. It can lead to death, spreading of diseases, unwanted pregnancies, and looking after a baby of a sick person or a dead person. And this can also lead to hurt of feelings of family members and just the community at large. I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson. So let's not forget to always wear our masks, sanitize, and then do not remember the social distance. As from me and Pomene, it's goodbye.
Hi everyone, I'm Shashi. And Simon says don't touch your face, your eyes, your nose, and your mouth unless your hands are super clean. Bye!
Welcome to my Zone Online School. My name is Linda Shipanga, and I'm with Pomwene. Always remember to sanitize your hands. And remember social distance. And always put on your mask. Today's lesson is Science, Grade 7. The topic is teenage pregnancy and family planning. Let's turn to page 21. Let's look at the competencies. Discuss what it means to be a responsible parent and what qualities and resources are needed. Discuss why abstinence, contraceptives, and condom use are requirements to prevent teenage pregnancy. Explain why teenage pregnancy should be prevented, both for mother and child. Define fertilization as the joining of male and female sex cells. Now, the vocabulary: abstinence, to stay away from something. Contraceptives, these are methods used to prevent a woman from becoming pregnant. A condom, this is a thin rubber covering that a man can wear on his penis during sex to stop a woman from becoming pregnant or to protect against infections. Now, let's turn to page 22. Resources. These are useful possession of a person, responsible, to have control over something. Qualities, a standard of something as measured against other things of similar kind. Discuss what it means to be a responsible parent. As a parent, you must be able to look after your child by providing him or her with basic essential needs like food, clothing, shelter, etc. And then you also have to be a good role model to your children. Qualities needed to be a responsible parent. The qualities are love and care. You should be able to be a good planner, a loyal and honest person, a team builder, a supporter, a guider, a provider, and a hard worker. Now, what are the resources needed to be a responsible parent? A parent must have a secure job with an income so that you can be able to sustain your family. So let's continue on page 22. How to prevent teenage pregnancy. Abstinence, contraceptives, and condom use. Let's turn to the board so that I can explain these methods of preventing teenage pregnancy. Abstinence, condom use, and contraceptives. Basically, what do we mean by abstinence, condom use, contraceptives? How do these methods prevent somebody from falling pregnant? Abstinence, this is when you say no to sex. If you do not have sexual intercourse, you will not be able to fall pregnant, or a boy will not be able to make a girl fall pregnant if he doesn't have sexual intercourse. Condom use. This is another method that one can use to prevent themselves from falling pregnant or impregnating a girl. A condom traps sperms, so the sperms will not be able to enter a female vagina, so she will not be able to fall pregnant. And then we have contraceptives. Contraceptives are different methods that a woman can use to prevent herself from falling pregnant. For example, we have the implant, we have the loop, we have the diaphragm, we have injections and pills. They make it impossible for the ovaries to release egg cells, and then if there are no egg cells, fertilization will not be able to take place. What is fertilization? Fertilization is the joining of the male and the female egg cell. If you look on this diagram, you can see fertilization taking place. This one that you see here is a sperm cell joining with the egg cell. This round one is an egg cell, so it's fusing, it's joining, so that the baby can be able to form. So that's basically what fertilization means. Now, why should teenage pregnancy be prevented? There are 3 reasons why teenage pregnancy should be prevented, and that one you can find it on page 23. So these 3 reasons why teenage pregnancy should be prevented are for economic reasons. Teenagers do not have money to support a child. Reason number 2, for educational reasons. A teenager might drop out of school to take care of a baby. Reason number 3, for health reasons. Teenagers' bodies have not yet fully developed to grow an unborn baby. You know, a teenager's body is still very young. She's still yet growing, and then you fall pregnant, and then your body now has to work very hard so that you can be able to sustain or just make that baby grow inside of you. So it becomes very difficult for the body. And these complications, the health reasons, the complications can be even mentally, emotionally, it's traumatizing. Even for the baby, you might be able to give birth to a premature baby. Okay, on page 23, still, let's look at the activity. Number 1, discuss what it means to be a responsible parent. Number 2, discuss why abstinence, contraceptives, and condom use are requirements to prevent teenage pregnancy. Number 3, explain why teenage pregnancy should be prevented, both for mother and child. And number 4, define fertilization. Now, as we recap, discuss what it means to be a responsible parent. As a parent, you must be able to look after your child by providing him or her with basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter. And then you need to be a good role model. The qualities needed to be a responsible parent is love and care, to be a good planner, a loyal and honest person, a team builder, a supporter, and a hard worker. The list is very much endless. Resources needed to be a responsible parent. A parent must be able to have a job, and then you get an income so that you can be able to sustain your family. Now, we should as well look at on the board as well. Now, how to prevent teenage pregnancy. There are 3 methods you can use. You can abstain. You say no to sex. If you do not have sexual intercourse, you'll not be able to fall pregnant, or you'll not be able to make a girl fall pregnant. Condom use. The condoms trap sperms so they do not enter a female vagina. And then the next method is contraceptives. Contraceptives, they make fertilization impossible. In other words, the ovaries are not able to release the egg cell, and then fertilization will not be able to take place. So what is fertilization? Fertilization is a joining of the male and the female sex cells. I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson. So let's always remember to sanitize our hands. Let's remember social distance as well. And then always wear your mask. It's from our side, it's goodbye.
Hi everyone, my name is Shashi, I'm back. And you can always stay active throughout the lockdown. You can play with your friends, but keep your distance. Like me and my friend, yay! And you can also jog and sing to be active. Until next time, bye!
The song goes ba-dum, ba-da, ba-da, da, 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 da. Benjamin Rosloff expresses himself with music, but when he's not playing the cello, he's making films.
My father bought me my first camera when I was 14 years old. My biggest dream is to be a filmmaker, like a producer or director.
Benjamin has already shown his films at festivals around the world.
The first film that I did, which was a documentary short, was called Can I Call You? It's about me trying to go in a relationship with someone who's non-disabled. Can I call you?
Yes, exactly. Ben is indeed a remarkable young man who has been living with autism from birth. He's a 23-year-old living in New York with his parents. Ben is not alone. 1% of the world's population, over 70 million people, is living with autism.
Some would refuse to let autistic people go to regular schools, and parents fight about that. That's why it's important to see videos about their lives. Even though they're disabled, there's things that they can do.
Benjamin has just landed a job as an intern at New York City's mayor's office for people with disabilities. Ben and his supervisor, Jonathan Novick, produce films to highlight people with disabilities who work for the municipality.
Ben's a lot of things. Ben is positive. Ben is friendly. He brings this very high level of energy and enthusiasm into his work.
I work here as cameraman and editor. I travel with Jonathan Novick, and together we meet people with different disabilities, and I do the recording on camera while Jonathan Novick does the interview.
Randy Washington, who's working with Ben, helps keep him focused and on track. Watching films is one of Ben's favorite things in life, and Randy is really impressed with Ben's encyclopedic knowledge.
It's amazing the stuff he remembers from the movies. And he's hardworking. When given a task, wants to complete that task. Or I guess it would be he's a perfectionist.
Recently, Ben contacted the United Nations and was invited to visit the organization. Today, he's going to interview the Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon. Ben could have never imagined that one day he would have the opportunity to discuss with the UN Secretary General the pressing issues that affect billions of people worldwide.
Last December in Paris, the world leaders came and showed their commitment to keep global temperature rise below 2 degrees, if possible 1.5 degrees. Under this agreement, we can cut emissions.
Among the questions Ben asked, one was very close to his heart.
Why is autism an issue for the United Nations?
Some societies discriminate on or shun people with autism. This is a terrible violation of human rights. The United Nations stands with all people with autism.
Benjamin's resolve to work and produce films is an example to the millions of people with disabilities worldwide. He knows that anything is possible when you dream, and if you work hard, your dreams can come true. This report was produced by Michael Wopatniuk and Flaminia Bondi for the United Nations.
COVID-19 affects people very differently. Many people show no symptoms at all, but some are hospitalized for weeks. So what does the disease do to your body? The coronavirus enters through the mouth, nose or eyes. It then usually attaches itself to cells lining the nose, throat, airways or lungs. It can turn these cells into factories that multiply and spread the virus. For the majority, a fever, cough and breathlessness are as bad as it gets. But the virus can damage the small blood vessels lining the lungs and initiate clotting. The alveoli are tiny air sacs where oxygen goes into the blood. If they become inflamed, it can trigger pneumonia. Seriously ill patients need to be given oxygen as the lungs fill with fluid and debris.
I legit couldn't breathe. My oximeter was measuring under 88% oxygen levels, which is very dangerous. And the only time I ever thought my life was in danger was at that point.
COVID-19 doesn't just affect the lungs. It can also disrupt the immune system, which is used by the body to fight illnesses. Cytokines are part of the immune system that find and signal infections. For some people with severe COVID-19, this system can go into overdrive. If too many cytokines build up, it can cause an overreaction that damages healthy cells. This is called a cytokine storm for the most severe cases. COVID-19 can lead to seizures or even a coma. It can also cause brain problems that lead to strokes. The immune system overreacting can cause clots that stop the blood supply to parts of the brain. Brain inflammation, psychosis, and dementia-like symptoms can also affect seriously ill patients. The average length of the illness is 14 days, but many people have symptoms for much longer. Breathing problems and post-viral fatigue last for months in some cases.
I cannot walk for long simply because I will feel a little bit short of breath and I feel the need to sit down. And that's something that has never happened to me before.
Some of the people who are most likely to develop severe symptoms are older adults and those with underlying health conditions. It's not fully known how anyone will react to COVID-19 until they get it. So it's important for everyone to follow health guidance. What precautions are you taking to stay safe?
Akili, 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 akili. We love to wash our hands, and this is how we do it. Wash, wash with clean water, scrub, scrub, scrub with soap. Rinse, rinse with clean water, and then the germs will go. We love to wash our hands, and this is how we do it. Wash, wash with clean water, scrub, scrub, scrub with soap. Rinse, rinse with clean water, and then the germs will go. Yay! Well done, soap and water! You got rid of all the germs on Achilles' hands!